Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Barbados' central bank governor reports more economic decline and calls for urgent measures to fix the fiscal deficit. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, May 2nd. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. 3 weeks before Barbadians go to the polls, they have received the disappointing news that the economy contracted by 0.7% for the first 3 months of this year, and the outlook for the economy remains challenging. Central Bank Governor Clevenson Haynes made the disclosure on Wednesday morning at his quarterly media conference, explaining that the decline was due mainly to a slowdown in construction, a decline in tourism activities, and the latest start of this year's sugar harvest. He said decisive stabilization measures are now needed. Haynes maintained that for the island to experience sustainable growth, there must also be adequate foreign reserves. Those reserves grew by $14 million to reach $423 million for the period under review, which translates into 6.9 weeks of import cover, but that is still way below the benchmark of 12 weeks of import cover. And the central bank governor said that whichever party is successful in the May 24 general election will have to focus on bringing the fiscal deficit to a manageable level and improving the foreign reserves.
The immediate priorities are quite clear. We have to address the fiscal, and we have to bring our foreign exchange back to a level with which we are all comfortable. Those are the two fundamental things that we have to do, and therefore I would imagine that the policy frameworks which the respective parties come with during the election cycle, and if they're successful after the election, will seek to address the issue of the fiscal and to address the issue of restoring our reserves.
The central bank governor admitted he was disappointed that more has not been done so far, but also served notice there was no quick fix to the current economic situation.
We have not made the progress that I would have hoped that we would have made at this point in time. And secondly, this is not something that is going to be turned around overnight. There has to be consistency of effort in order for us to be able to achieve our objectives. Clearly, a major aspect of the challenges that we face has been the fiscal. I think considerable efforts have been made to address the fiscal, but we still are not where we need to be. And therefore, the bank's call really, therefore, is consistent in that we believe that we still have further work to do. And in the context of that further work, you might hear some of the things that we've said before. We're not suddenly going to change them at this point in time.
Given the estimated downturn in tourism in the first quarter and ongoing delays in project startups, the bank has revised downwards its current growth forecast for 2018 within the range of minus 0.25% to 0.25%. The governor said that is likely to be further influenced by the speed and nature of the fiscal adjustment policies and the amount of new investment. Meantime, Prime Minister Frundle Stewart has dismissed suggestions that his Democratic Labour Party, the DLP, is not up to the challenge of managing the affairs of the country for the next 5 years. He was speaking to local media on Wednesday shortly after paying his $250 deposit in preparing to contest the general elections. The DLP, which is just completing 2 consecutive terms in office, has been criticized by the opposition for mismanaging the economy. Under the Stewart administration, the country faced a series of downgrades from international rating agencies, Moody's and Standards & Poor's. The country's international reserves, as you heard earlier, are still way below target, but Prime Minister Stewart insists that a DLP government is capable of overcoming the challenges.
I say poppycock, nonsense, balderdash, rubbish. We have done this country proud over the last 10 years. We have had to govern Barbados in the most challenging decade the Western world has seen since the Great Depression. And we have managed to not only keep Barbados stable, but to ensure that those basic amenities to which Barbadians have become accustomed were made available to them on an uninterrupted basis. Yes, because of the challenging environment in which we've had to operate, we've had to ask the population to hold hands with us and to just practice some forbearance.
In Jamaica, government and opposition legislators on Tuesday apologized for their recent behavior that led to a private sector group saying it would not send representatives as spectators to the House of Representatives until parliamentarians addressed undemocratic, vulgar and embarrassing behavior. Leader of Government Business Carl Samuda and Leader of Opposition Business Philip Paulwell both issued apologies on behalf of their respective sides, while acknowledging that the entire episode was regrettable. Last week, several students walked out of the House of Representatives as both government and opposition legislators shouted down each other over air quality issues at Cornwall Regional Hospital. The students had gone to hear the parliamentarian representatives speak in the opening of the sectoral debate, which had to be postponed because the meeting could not move beyond the noisy and threatening exchanges that followed a statement by Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton. Samuda told legislators that as leader of government business, he would ensure there was no recurrence of the situation. The two legislators whose verbal clash sparked the incident, the Jamaica Labour Party's Darrell Vaz and the People's National Party's Dr. Dayton Campbell, also apologized. And Speaker of House Pernell Charles said he hoped that there would be order in the House from now on. He said going forward he would be strictly adhering to the standing orders.
I will not deviate from ministers, MPs, opposition or government side. One deviation caused too much problem. And I'm stating very clearly that while I sit here as Speaker and be guided by the standing order, the House should not descend to the level it did last week.
Staying in Jamaica's parliament, senators are Wednesday expected to give the green light for a further 3-month extension of the state of public emergency in the parish of St. James. This after legislators in the House of Representatives put aside their differences on Tuesday night and agreed to the extension until August 2nd. Prime Minister Andrew Holness had told parliamentarians the fear of crime among St. James residents had been reduced during the state of emergency. He said that between January 1st and April 30th, there were 62 fewer murders than in the corresponding period last year. The most recent data showed 133 people had been arrested and charged, with 22 held for murder under the state of emergency. And although he supported the extension, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips said the data he had showed that up the third week of April, 1,939 people had been detained, and he criticized what he said was the security forces' strategy of gathering up young men from poor communities and gradually processing them. But addressing the concerns about detentions, Prime Minister Holness said they were not done arbitrarily.
The police isn't just operating in the dark with a scattershot approach, that they have actually sat down and scoped out the gangs. They have intelligence workups on them. But for them to act, Mr. Speaker, to convert intelligence into evidence is not the easiest thing in an environment like ours, where witnesses don't come forward, where people withhold information, and even if they do come forward, they don't turn up to court.
Meantime, Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson says he expects the crime situation in St. Andrews South Division to be under control with a few months. The division has recorded 46 more murders so far this year compared to the similar period last year. This is an increase of 209%. The Police Commissioner said different strategies are being implemented to get the situation under control.
Nothing can be off the table as far as I'm concerned, but we're not necessarily there yet. There may be some other ways of cauterizing that. We have to keep testing different solutions and applying different methodologies. We have to make sure that we are aligning our resources to where they're most needed, and we'll see how that works. And as a matter of fact, I expect to get St. Andrews South under control.
Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs, Franklin Cann, is taking full responsibility for providing inaccurate gas forecast data to Standard & Poor's, which led to the credit rating agency warning of a downgrade for the country. In response to a question from opposition Senator Wade Mark in the Upper House on Tuesday, Cann said there was a lapse in protocol at his ministry, and he outlined the steps taken to ensure the mistake is not repeated. He also reassured that Trinidad and Tobago's rating was not negative. Cann said the rating remained the same, but the outlook changed from stable to negative. He confirmed that forecasts of oil and gas production given by his ministry to S&P were based on 2017 estimates, and he gave the latest figures for 2018.
The forecast that was inadvertently provided was an outdated one that was not revised to include new positive trends in gas production. For example, January 2018 gas production was 3.9 billion cubic feet per day, the highest it has been in over 3.5 years.
A search for fishermen who went missing after being attacked by pirates in Suriname. That story and more when we return. Stay with us.
On May 12th, as the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 7:30 p.m. Eastern Caribbean Time as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
Kick back, relax, enjoy the view, the boats, the scenery amidst epic parties, entertainment and nightlife. Antigua Sailing Week. Experience 7 days of non-stop bliss. Chase the race daily by land or up close by sea as the crews compete for glory. Then, when night falls, the harbor ignites. Antigua Sailing Week, April 28th to May 4th, 2018. Antigua and Barbuda. The beach is just the beginning.
Be watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 7:30 p.m. Eastern Caribbean Time as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
Welcome back. Law enforcement officials in Suriname are searching for 16 fishermen who were attacked by pirates over the weekend. Commander of the Surinamese Coast Guard, Jerry Slingard, said the attack on a group of 20 fishermen in 4 boats took place off the coast of the country late Friday. 4 of the men managed to swim ashore, and 3 of them are being treated at hospital. They reported that they were beaten with machetes and forced to jump overboard, some of them with batteries tied to their feet. The men who escaped told Surinamese police they suspect the assailants are from Guyana because of their accents. President of the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union in Trinidad and Tobago is calling for the country's industrial relations system to change. Vincent Cabrera was addressing workers at a rally in Trinidad on Tuesday as they joined workers around the world in observing May Day. We get more in this C News report.
President of the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union, Vincent Cabrera, kicked off the day reminding workers of the importance of unions. He emphasized that without them, the benefits and salaries of all workers would not exist or increase. He called for a different industrial relations system to be introduced in Trinidad and Tobago, one based on rights and not regulations.
I would like to call on the society to abandon this regulation-based industrial relations system and replace it with a system that is based on rights. There are other countries that have done it, including Ireland. We need an industrial relations system based on rights. R-I-G-H-T-S.
Calling for workers' rights to be respected, Mr. Cabrera warned against the Venezuelan refugee situation being used to the disadvantage of Trinidad and Tobago workers.
It is time for us to call on the government for an appropriate migration policy for Trinidad and Tobago. Imagine you're paying a Venezuelan welder $40 a day. That is what they're doing in Trinidad, these blasted capitalists. I am saying that the migration policy must be fair to any migrant that comes to Trinidad.
Head of the OWTU, Ansel Roger, poured venom on the party in power, the PNM, saying that he was disappointed in the Prime Minister.
He asked for the job. He asked for the job. He said that those who were governing, they were not governing in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, and to give him and his party a chance, and that they will do better, and that they will maintain your standard of living, and that they will make sure that the place is safe, and that they will ensure that you have proper health care, and that they will ensure that the teaching service commits itself and deliver a higher level of education, and that they will ensure that senior citizens are treated with respect. Nothing can be further from the truth.
Mr. Roger called for a more cooperative face from government, threatening a general shutdown of the nation otherwise.
And in Cuba, workers were awarded for their contribution to the country's growth and development in various fields. We get more in this report from Richards of Carnal, Caribe.
Council of State, following the proposal of the Cuban Workers' Confederation, awarded 10 men and 3 women with the honorific title of Work Hero. The award winners belong to the educational and health systems, transportation, sugar and tobacco industries, civil defense force, and from the construction field. The second secretary of the Central Communist Party of Cuba, José Ramón Machado Ventura, bestowed the distinctions to the hard-working group of men and women whose extraordinary merits have been achieved throughout their labor life. Another 47 outstanding workers and 3 labor associations were gratified with the order Lázaro Peña of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degrees, also granted by Cuba's Council of State. Likewise, the medal Jesus Menéndez was conferred. The awards were also bestowed by Salvador Valdés Mesa, Cuba's first vice president, Ulises Guilarte, General Secretary of the Cuban Workers' Confederation, Roberto Morales, Minister of Health, and Teresa Marele, General Secretary of the Cuban Women's Federation, and other personalities.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, veteran West Indies opener Chris Gayle eyes the World Cup title to cap off his career. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
Be watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 7:30 p.m. Eastern Caribbean Time as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around my time. 44 is the hair. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. But all night, no time to sleep. Emancipate with we. Vet food and folklore. Country around the 44. Vet food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Vet food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Vet food and folklore. Country around the 44.
Veteran West Indies opener Chris Gayle has listed winning next year's World Cup in England among his remaining top priorities as his career winds toward an end. The 38-year-old returned to West Indies one-day colours following a near 2.5-year break last September and will now spearhead the Caribbean's batting at the May 30th to July 14th World Cup. In reference to his remaining career targets, he said, and I quote, "Just two things, winning the IPL this year and the World Cup for West Indies next year. I believe West Indies have a big chance of winning the World Cup in 2019. I know we struggled in the qualifiers, but now that we've made it, our next aim is to win it. But right now, it's definitely the IPL. Kings 11 Punjab have never won it." End of quote. Gayle is the Windies' leading one-day player, scoring 9,585 runs from 281 one-day internationals and notching 23 centuries. The upcoming showpiece in England is expected to be his last World Cup, which remains the only title missing from his achievements. Gayle has been in excellent form in the IPL, already having scored 252 runs from 4 innings at an average of 126 and a strike rate of 161. Suspended speedster Ransford Beaton has joined the fast bowling camp, where he will undergo a reassessment process for his bowling. This was confirmed by Cricket West Indies in a release on Wednesday. The 25-year-old was reported for a suspect bowling action following the second ODI against New Zealand in Christchurch last December and failed a recent independent assessment. Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams says the board remains committed to working with Beaton during this period of remedial work, which will hopefully accelerate his successful readmission to the professional game. Beaton may still be able to play in the upcoming Caribbean Premier League starting in August. He was a 10th round pick for reigning champions Trinbago Knight Riders at the recent draft. Over to football now. Jamaica's Reggae Boys are back home, happy with their performances against St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua and Barbuda. TVJ's Karen Madden reports.
Over St. Kitts and Nevis before wrapping up the tour of the Eastern Caribbean with a 2-0 victory over Antigua and Barbuda. It was the first time that the Jamaicans were recording back-to-back wins in friendly internationals in 3 years.
The team, they really played creditably well and they were consistent. It was 2 games that we approached in 2 different ways tactically.
According to Jerome Waite, who had interim head coach duties on the tour, with Antigua bringing in overseas players for the game, it showed the quality of the local-based players.
It was only 5 overseas-based players were added to their roster, while it was all local-based, from the Jamaica team. But it was basically a good performance from each individual as it relates to the tactical, aspect of the game. So it's not so much anything different from the opponent, because they put all that they had to offer, in which the defensive unit stuck to the task.
Midfielder Siobhan Marsh was among the goals on tour and described how special the moment was.
Of course, definitely. I think one of the greatest goals of my entire career.
Marsh also spoke of the value of these games for the players.
Personally, it do a lot, because then, crop of local-based play, and you know the coaching staff and management staff believe in us and will go out and execute well. You know, the first game back home against Antigua, we drew 1-1, and to have a crop of local-based play and come out 2-0 victory against Antigua in Antigua, I think it's a great feeling. You know, a positive thing going forward.
The Jamaica Football Federation is now searching for more games for the Reggae Boys as they prepare for the CONCACAF Nations League.
And in the women's division, the Spice Girls ended their Caribbean Football Union Women's Challenge with defeat at the hands of Suriname in their final game in Trinidad. The Grenadians were edged out 6-5, finishing at the bottom of the table, mustering only 1 point in the tournament. Ruskin Mark of C-Sport took in all the action at the Otto Bolden Stadium and filed this report.
This one heated up early when Marissa Charles scored in the 13th minute with a long shot slipping through the Surinamese goalkeeper's grasp for 1-0 to Grenada. But 4 minutes later, Sabrina Richter beat the Grenadian custodian at the near post for 1-1 using the outside of her right foot to squeeze it in between the keeper and the near post. Brilliant. 3 minutes later, Grenada went back in front. This time, it was Sharanda Charles to benefit from the inexperienced goalkeeper, and she cashed in for 2-1 in the 20th. However, Suriname would draw level again as the speedy Othea Riley outstripped the defense and gets the assist from the post before tapping in for the equalizer. Then Suriname took the lead for the first time in the game as Ulster Wigham drills home a roofer for the goal of the game and a 3-2 advantage to Suriname after 36 minutes. Grenada had a chance to draw level again following this heavy collision in the area involving the keeper. Marissa Charles would take the spot kick but drew iron and it stayed out. Suriname would feel as though justice was served. But some slack defending again allows Renisa Frank to get free and make it 3 apiece a minute before the interval. The action heated up early in the second half also when the keeper failed to clear, and there was Othea Riley on spot to tap in for 4-3 now Suriname 2 minutes into the second period. But as they're following a prepared script, back came the Grenadians to knot up the scores at 4 apiece when Renisa Frank's free kick flew in with goalkeeper Zuina Dawes slipping in goal for Suriname and having no chance.
And that's the sport. Stay with us.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Festival again, festival again, festival again, festival again, festival again, festival again, festival again. The Caribbean's greatest summer line, yeah, it's country around the time. 44 is the hair, I know you love it here. Troops and festivities, we love the Caribbean. The clown night, no time to sleep. Imagine take with me. Let food and folklore, culture on the 44. Let food and folklore, welcome to our island shore. Let food and folklore, entertainment to die for. Let food and folklore, culture on the 44.
Be watching on May 12th as the Anthony and Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 7:30 p.m. Eastern Caribbean Time as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
Again, the major developments of this day. Barbados' central bank governor reports more economic decline and calls for urgent measures to fix the fiscal deficit. And in sport, veteran West Indies opener Chris Gayle says winning next year's World Cup in England is among his top priorities as his international career inches towards an end. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to condanews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.